world champion.
What do you go by?
Rob Van Dam, RVD.
Wrestling is brutal, but often the harshest damage doesn't come from the ring itself. It comes from the wrestlers, like Rob Van Dam ruining his own championship run with a single poorly timed rest, or the world champion whatever name he goes by, Rob Van Dam or RVD crossing the line and injuring Rosemary during a match.
We are back live here on Monday Night Raw. The WWE title is about to be decided in the long-awaited, in my view, rematch for John Cena. But you gotta hand it for Rob Van Dam for stepping up and making this match possible.
Here are 10 wrestlers who ended up destroying their own careers, starting with Rob Van Dam.
Sometimes, John, it is in the darkest of times when the most unlikely will become the hero. And tonight, Trent Acid.
To the top of the cage.
Oh, look at this! Springboard moonsault!
Taking it to Petey Williams now.
July 2006 should have been the high point of Rob Van Dam's career, just weeks after defeating John Cena at ECW One Night Stand to hold both the WWE Championship and ECW Championship. Living every wrestler's dream as the face of the revived ECW brand with dual titles and a spot among WWE's top stars. But on July 1, 2006, everything changed during a routine drive from Huntington, West Virginia to Philadelphia, when RVD and fellow wrestler Sabu were pulled over for speeding in Hanging Rock, Ohio. And police, detecting the smell of marijuana, found 18 grams of marijuana and Vicodin pills with RVD, while Sabu had drug paraphernalia and 9 Teslacone tablets. A disastrous turn for a wrestler who had openly supported marijuana use throughout his career, striking at the very peak of his success, and the consequences were swift and severe, as WWE's wellness policy required action for drug arrests, leading to a 30-day suspension. But the real damage went far beyond that, because on July 3rd, just 2 days after the arrest, RVD lost the WWE Championship to Edge in a triple threat match on Monday Night Raw. And the next day he lost the ECW Championship to Big Show, ending his historic dual title reign and turning what should have been a defining moment into a footnote remembered more for its ending than the achievement itself. And while RVD later estimated the arrest cost him $30,000 to $40,000 in fines, the true cost was far greater, as his momentum was shattered, his career never fully recovered, and his story became a clear example of how personal choices can catastrophically collide with professional success. While the next wrestler's downfall would not come from bad timing but from exposing his personal life in the most public way possible, as Matt Hardy in 2005 delivered one of WWE's most shocking and personal storylines, unlike most wrestling narratives. Because this one wasn't scripted, it was painfully and devastatingly real, as Matt Hardy, one half of the beloved Hardy Boys tag team, found himself at the center of a scandal that led to his release from WWE, only to return months later in one of the most emotionally charged feuds of the decade. Beginning when Hardy, sidelined with a knee injury, discovered that his long-term girlfriend, fellow WWE wrestler Lita, Amy Dumas, was having an affair with his friend and colleague Edge, Adam Copeland. A betrayal that struck at the heart of professional wrestling's close-knit community, where performers spend months on the road together forming bonds meant to transcend the scripted rivalries portrayed on television. And what turned this personal tragedy into a career-altering event was Hardy's choice to air his grievances publicly. And in an era before Twitter and Instagram dominated social media, wrestlers mainly communicated with fans through personal websites, which Hardy used to detail the betrayal, breaking the sacred rule of kayfabe, the carefully maintained illusion separating real life from storyline. And WWE's response was immediate and severe, as on April 11, 2005, the company released Matt Hardy for unprofessional conduct, citing his public airing of personal matters as disruptive to scripted storylines, a decision that sparked widespread controversy among fans, many of whom felt Hardy was being punished for being the victim of betrayal rather than the perpetrator, made even more contentious by the apparent double standard that allowed Edge and Lita to face no immediate professional consequences despite their direct involvement in the affair. This perceived unfairness only fueled fan anger, with chants of, "You screwed Matt, we want Matt," directly referencing the real-life situation rather than WWE's scripted storylines, and the backlash was unlike anything the company had seen in years, as a petition to reinstate Hardy circulated online, gathering over 15,000 signatures while crowds continued disrupting shows with pro-Hardy chants, forcing WWE to make an unprecedented decision and bring Hardy back, which he did dramatically on July 11, 2005, on Monday Night Raw by attacking Edge and confronting Lita in one of the most personal and emotionally charged feuds in WWE history, turning real-life drama into television content. A risky move that could have backfired spectacularly, but the feud resonated because of its authenticity, as Hardy and Edge's hatred in the ring felt real, with matches displaying an intensity that couldn't be manufactured. Through typical storytelling, culminating in Hardy's victory in a steel cage match at Unforgiven 2005, satisfying fans who had supported him through his darkest professional moments, though the personal cost was enormous, as Hardy, Edge, and Lita later admitted to discomfort reliving their trauma week after week, with the line between real life and professional persona completely blurred, creating a psychological burden far beyond typical wrestling storylines. While our next performer, Teddy Hart, carried one of wrestling's most prestigious family names, yet still managed to burn bridges with everyone he worked with.
I don't think Cage expected this level of aggression from Tessa.
Third time, and Brian Cage this time.
He caught her.
Has
He
her
caught
up.
her. He caught her.
Brian Cage.
Oh, come on.
When you carry the Hart family name in professional wrestling, you inherit both incredible expectations and a legacy of excellence spanning generations. And Teddy Hart, grandson of the legendary Stu Hart and nephew of Bret Hart, seemed destined for greatness from the moment he stepped into a wrestling ring, with natural athleticism, a high-flying style, and undeniable charisma that caught the attention of major promotions early in his career, making him the youngest wrestler ever signed by WWE. At just 18, yet sometimes having everything going for you can become the very thing that destroys you, as Teddy Hart's career became a masterclass in self-sabotage, painfully showing how talent without discipline can lead to spectacular failure, a story not just of missed opportunities but of burning bridges so thoroughly that the entire industry collectively decided he was more trouble than he was worth. The problems began early in Hart's WWE tenure, as despite being signed as the youngest wrestler in company history, he was sent home from training camp due to alleged attitude problems, preventing him from ever reaching the main roster, which should have been a wake-up call that talent alone wouldn't carry him through a professional wrestling career. Yet it instead seemed to set the tone for years of erratic behavior that would derail his relationship with the wrestling business. The most infamous incident occurred on November 1, 2003, during a 10-man cage match in Ring of Honor, where what should have been a showcase for Hart's aerial abilities instead became a defining moment of unprofessionalism, as he went completely off-script, performing dangerous aerial maneuvers from the top of the cage that were not coordinated with the other wrestlers, putting multiple performers at risk. And to make matters worse, he vomited at ringside during the match, an act that, while attributed to a concussion, came across as deeply unprofessional to those watching, and the reaction from his peers was swift and damning, with reports suggesting that top wrestlers like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Bryan Danielson, Chris Daniels, and Paul London actively protested Hart's presence in Ring of Honor, making it clear they didn't trust him in the ring, and when wrestlers of that caliber, respected veterans known for their professionalism, collectively reject working with someone, it sends a message that reverberates throughout the entire industry. But Hart's issues went far beyond a single match, as his tenure with Total Non-Stop Action Wrestling ended after a physical altercation with CM Punk at a restaurant, where the two had to be separated by fellow wrestler Sabu, and this wasn't a kayfabe incident or a work shoot, but real-world unprofessionalism that made Hart a liability for any promotion trying to maintain order in their locker room. The pattern continued across multiple promotions, with his time in AAA in Mexico ending when he was suspended indefinitely, reportedly for his own safety, as more than half of the locker room was said to want to harm him due to his behavior, a stark reminder that a wrestler had become so universally disliked that a promotion had to take action to protect him from his own colleagues. That level of heat isn't something you generate through storylines. It's earned through consistently poor behavior, and Major League Wrestling became Hart's most recent high-profile opportunity, yet even that ended predictably when, in December 2019, MLW released him due to disciplinary issues, including no-showing events and making unauthorized appearances at competing promotions like All Elite Wrestling and WWE's NXT, reflecting a pattern that had followed Hart throughout his career. An inability to honor commitments and a complete disregard for contractual obligations. While if Teddy Hart's downfall stemmed from erratic behavior and unprofessionalism, our next wrestler, Tessa Blanchard, saw her promising career derailed by allegations that emerged just as she was about to make history. January 2020 should have been the crowning moment of Tessa Blanchard's wrestling career, as a third-generation performer carrying on her family legacy, poised to make history by becoming Impact Wrestling's first female world champion, breaking barriers and cementing her place as one of the most significant wrestlers of her generation. But controversy erupted just days before her historic championship match at Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill pay-per-view, when Chelsea Green, a prominent WWE NXT star, was among the first to accuse Blanchard of bullying and belittling numerous female workers throughout the wrestling industry, a claim echoed by a wave of wrestlers including Allison Kay, Priscilla Kelly, Renee Michelle, Shauna, and Tanya Brooks, who described a pattern of behavior that went far beyond typical locker room tensions. And the most damaging allegation came from a specific 2017 incident, in which Allison Kay accused Blanchard of spitting in the face of Puerto Rican wrestler Black Rose, La Rosa Negra, and using a racial slur during a Stardom wrestling event in Japan, a claim corroborated by multiple wrestlers and confirmed by Black Rose herself, whose explanation for initially staying silent that she had chosen to keep her personal life private and move past the experience lent credibility to the allegations and made it clear that this wasn't a coordinated attack on Blanchard's character. The timing of these revelations could not have been worse for Tessa Blanchard's career, as just when she was about to achieve her greatest professional triumph, social media exploded with allegations portraying her as a bully and, most damagingly, as someone who had used racial slurs against a colleague, creating a stark contrast between her public image as a trailblazer for women's wrestling and these private accusations that was impossible to ignore, and Blanchard's response, though consistent, was ultimately unconvincing to many, as she denied the claims. Particularly the use of racial slurs, stating during a media call, "I've never used a racial slur of any kind. It's just not in my heart. It's not something that I've done. It's not something that I will do." Yet her denials were overshadowed by the number of accusers and the specific nature of their claims, and Impact Wrestling initially stood by their champion, allowing her to win the World Championship on January 12, 2020, despite the controversy. But the allegations clearly damaged her standing within the company and the wider wrestling community, leading to her contract being terminated on June 25, 2020, and her being stripped of the championship, with the company noting that the termination was primarily due to her failure to provide promotional materials during the COVID-19 pandemic rather than the January allegations. While her downfall from misconduct accusations mirrors the next wrestler, Velveteen Dream, who faced similar claims during the #Speaking Out movement that destroyed one of WWE's most promising young stars.
There's your business. You happy? You happy? Good. See what that motherfucker do now.
You know, you're not a professional if you have to point out you're a professional.
In the world of professional wrestling, few characters have been as magnetic, controversial, or ultimately tragic as Patrick Clark Jr., better known by his ring name Velveteen Dream, whose story represents one of the most dramatic falls from grace in recent wrestling history, a tale of immense promise, disturbing allegations, and a career that went from being praised by legends to becoming virtually radioactive within the industry. And when Clark debuted the Velveteen Dream character on WWE's NXT brand, it was immediately clear that something special was happening, as his flamboyant, Prince-inspired persona was unlike anything wrestling had seen in years, sexually ambiguous, gender-fluid, and completely captivating, drawing fascination and praise from fans and industry veterans alike, with even John Cena lauding Clark's work and it seeming only a matter of time before he would transition to WWE's main roster as a major star. Yet in April 2020, everything changed when allegations surfaced that Clark had sent inappropriate messages and explicit images to minors via Instagram, with the initial accuser, a 17-year-old named Jacob Schmidt, posting screenshots on social media allegedly showing Clark sending nude photos and engaging in inappropriate conversations. And what made these claims particularly damaging was the inclusion of audio messages in Clark's distinctive Velveteen Dream voice, lending credibility to accusations that many might otherwise have dismissed. While Clark's initial response followed a familiar playbook for celebrities facing social media allegations, he denied the allegations on Twitter, suggesting that his accounts might have been compromised and referencing a previous hacking incident from 2018. But the claims did not disappear, and the situation worsened as more accusers came forward, especially during the #Speaking Out movement, which gained momentum in June 2020 and brought renewed attention to Clark's case while introducing additional, even more serious allegations. And independent wrestler Josh Fuller accused Clark of grooming behavior, claiming that when he was 16 and Clark was 19, Clark had promised to help him secure a WWE job if he continued working on his physique, with Fuller providing disturbing details about video calls where Clark allegedly asked him to remove his shirt and later requested to see his lower body. And what made Fuller's allegations particularly compelling was his claim that he was part of a private Instagram group chat where multiple individuals, many underage at the time, reported similar interactions with Clark, suggesting a pattern of behavior rather than an isolated incident, with Fuller openly labeling Clark as a groomer and a child predator, and WWE found itself in an impossible position, conducting an internal investigation with Triple H stating that the accusations were taken seriously but no evidence was found to substantiate them, and the company gradually phased Clark out of programming before officially releasing him from his contract in May 2021, though his legal troubles continued, as in August 2022 he was arrested twice in Florida on charges including battery, trespassing, and drug possession. These incidents, while unrelated to the original allegations, further damaged Clark's reputation and made it clear that his problems extended beyond his wrestling career, and it wasn't until January 2024 that he publicly addressed the situation in a detailed interview with Chris Van Vliet, denying all accusations of misconduct, claiming that the alleged conversations and images were fabricated and that the social media accounts making the accusations were no longer active, while also issuing a public apology to WWE, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels for the negative publicity his situation had brought to the company. And while Clark's career was effectively destroyed by allegations he denied, our next wrestler, Austin Aries, faced problems stemming from a pattern of controversial behavior and a reputation for being impossible to work with, despite possessing undeniable talent as a 3-time Impact World Champion and 6-time X Division Champion, as he systematically burned bridges with virtually every major promotion and allowed his reputation for being difficult to overshadow his considerable abilities, with the most public example occurring at Impact's Bound for Glory 2018, where after losing the championship, Aries no-sold the finish, stood up, shouted at commentary, flipped off the crowd, and walked out.
John Morrison is not an avocado.
While Aries later claimed the Bound for Glory incident was planned, it epitomized his reputation for putting personal interests above company needs, and his WWE tenure was similarly contentious, with reports indicating he was unpopular with writing staff and constantly pushing for preferential treatment over established stars. While Dave Meltzer confirmed that Aries was released because the writing staff didn't have anything for him, showing that his behavior had made him effectively unemployable, and during the hashtag Speaking Out movement, Aries faced serious sexual harassment allegations from multiple women, including disturbing incidents captured on camera. And though he denied being a sexual predator or abuser, the sheer number of accusations further damaged his reputation, with industry insiders consistently describing him as extremely difficult to work with and a notorious troublemaker, turning his wrestling talent into a cautionary tale that attitude ultimately matters more than skill, as Aries destroyed his career through bad behavior and controversy, while our next wrestler, Alberto Del Rio, saw his fall from grace fueled by a dramatic combination of substance abuse, domestic violence allegations, and a pattern of no-shows that left promoters unable to trust him.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am here to remind you that the man who is single-handedly changing Friday nights weighs in tonight at 246 pounds. He hails from Green Bay, Wisconsin.
4-time WWE World Champion Alberto Del Rio had everything needed for sustained success but destroyed it through personal choices and professional unreliability, with his downfall beginning in 2014 when he was released for slapping a WWE employee who allegedly made a racist joke, while substance abuse issues became public during his second WWE stint when he was suspended for 30 days for a wellness policy violation in August 2016, raising questions about his reliability and contributing to his eventual departure, and his relationship with Paige proved professionally damaging, as their public disputes and domestic violence allegations led to Del Rio being suspended from Impact Wrestling and stripped of the GFW Global Championship in 2017, and in 2021 he made public threats to expose Paige, demonstrating a complete lack of professional judgment. And no-shows became another major problem, most damagingly when Del Rio failed to appear at the Boston for Autism charity event in 2015. Despite receiving deposits, hotel accommodations, and airfare, disappointing vulnerable children expecting to meet a wrestling star and generating particularly bad publicity. While the final blow came in 2020 when Del Rio was arrested on sexual assault and kidnapping charges, though the charges were later dropped, effectively ending any possibility of a mainstream wrestling return and completing his transformation from celebrated champion to industry pariah, showing how multiple personal failures can compound to destroy a career. While our next wrestler, Mr. Kennedy, saw his downfall come from lies and dishonesty about performance-enhancing drugs just as he was being positioned for his biggest push.
Let me tell you something, the NWA, Jim Crockett Promotions, and the Nature Boy Buddy Landell are synonymous with greatness.
Ken Anderson's Mr. Kennedy character seemed destined for WWE Championship glory, with his unique microphone-dropping entrance and natural heel presence catching management's attention. And industry insiders suggested major plans, potentially including a WWE Championship reign, making his eventual downfall all the more tragic. And the first crack appeared during the 2007 Signature Pharmacy scandal, which linked Kennedy to illegal steroid purchases. And rather than handling it quietly, he publicly denied using steroids, creating credibility problems that damaged his standing with management, a situation that worsened when he actually failed a WWE drug test, providing documented proof that contradicted his public denials, destroyed any remaining trust, and made his statements about avoiding performance-enhancing drugs appear misleading at best. And Kennedy was released in 2009, ending what had been considered one of wrestling's most promising careers, a result directly stemming from his choices and their consequences rather than a lack of talent or fan interest, making his story one of wrestling's great what-if scenarios. A performer seemingly destined for greatness who destroyed his own career through dishonesty and poor decisions. While our next wrestler, Buddy Landell, saw substance abuse problems lead to what wrestling legend Jim Cornette called the most expensive hangover in wrestling history.
Sometimes I like slim, sometimes I like thick, sometimes I combine and I like them slick. Them slick probably went over your head.
Buddy Landell possessed everything needed for wrestling's superstardom: natural charisma, exceptional ability, and a character that could have defined an era. And in 1985, he joined Jim Crockett Promotions, positioned as a direct rival to Ric Flair, with their July 31, 1985 match at Raleigh's Dorton Arena breaking an attendance record previously set by Elvis Presley, proving Landell was a genuine draw. Yet he began struggling with drug and alcohol addiction that year, problems that would plague him for years, with a defining incident occurring when he overslept a crucial TV taping due to heavy drug use, missing what should have been a major advancement in his Flair feud, a moment immortalized by Jim Cornette as the $150,000 hangover, representing not just immediate lost income but the cascading impact of missing such a pivotal opportunity. And Landell was released from JCP after winning the NWA National Championship at Starrcade 1985, precisely because his substance issues made him too risky to employ, later admitting, "I was 23, cocky, and had $100,000 in the bank. I didn't see that I had any problems," perfectly encapsulating the mindset that led to his downfall, as his missed opportunity occurred during JCP's golden era when he could have been positioned as a major star, but substance abuse cost him everything, while our final wrestler committed an act so heinous that it instantly made her persona non grata throughout the entire wrestling industry. Sexy Star.
You let her know it's over. Let go. It's over. You're the winner.
Wait, she's refusing to let go.
She could get disqualified.
Professional wrestling is built on absolute trust between performers who literally put their lives in each other's hands. And on August 26, 2017, at AAA's Triplemania XXV, that trust was shattered when Sexy Star committed an act so egregious it effectively ended her wrestling career, as during a four-way championship match she applied an armbar on Rosemary to win. But after Rosemary tapped out, continued applying pressure, causing a suspected triceps tear, an action that wasn't a miscommunication but appeared completely intentional, violating wrestling's most fundamental principle.
You let her know it's over. Let go. It's over. You're the winner.
Wait, she's refusing to let go.
She could get disqualified.
Rosemary's powerful Twitter statement left no doubt about what had occurred, declaring that if you take liberties with someone's body when they are giving it to you and trusting you to keep them safe, you are not tough, you are a coward, and you don't belong in this business. A sentiment echoed unanimously across the wrestling community, with Cody Rhodes tweeting, "Sexy Star will never set foot in one of my locker rooms." Road Dogg calling for her to be blacklisted, and Joey Ryan emphasizing, "If you violate that trust, you're not one of us." And the consequences were immediate. WrestleCade canceled her appearance, AAA stripped her of the championship, and she was actively blackballed industry-wide, while her attempts to defend her actions as character work were universally rejected, with Rosemary directly refuting her claims and calling her a liar, leaving Sexy Star's career destroyed, self-inflicted, and utterly preventable, serving as the ultimate cautionary tale about respecting the trust that professional wrestling demands.